Megan Parks with Exploring Parks here. Today I want to talk about how to cook while camping. So the options are endless if you really think about it, but sometimes we just get stuck on we have to cook on the campfire and that's it. So let's dive into the different ways you can cook while you're camping and also while you're backpacking. There are so many different ways to cook while you're camping. So you just need to decide what works best for you, what's the easiest to travel with, what's the easiest to pack up and clean up, and just figure out what's going to be the easiest method of cooking while camping. So the first method that I want to talk about today is the camping stove. The camping stove is generally like a propane stove. So you want to get a small canister of propane if it's just for a day or two trip, or if it's going to be more, you might want to go with something a bit larger. But you'll hook your camping stove up to the propane and then you'll cook over it just like you cook on a gas stove. So there are many perks to cooking with a propane stove. First being that you could do a single burner or a double burner, which would give you more options if you want to, boil noodles and cook sauce in the other burner. There's just a lot more options for you with that double burner camp stove. Also, the single burning stove with a small propane canister is very easy to pack, so you don't have to bring a huge grill with you or anything like that, but you'll be able to just cook over an open flame, but you don't have to pack a bunch of stuff to do it. Another benefit of using the propane stove is that your pots and pans don't have to be any special material. You could use stainless steel, aluminum, cast iron, really just anything that you can cook on your gas stove at home with, you can use while you're camping. Another propane option while you're camping is to bring a backpacking mini stove. So we use the Jetboil a lot while we're camping. It's mainly for backpacking because of its small size and also it does not weigh a lot. And you can cook with it quickly. It's called the Jetboil. It's like the 1 minute boil is what they use to advertise it. So it is a quick cook if you want to use the Jetboil. And also it's very easy to pack. The only downfall is if you're cooking for a group, you can really only do single meals in this. So if you're by yourself, it works great. Otherwise, you're going to want to go with something where you can cook for more people. Other options to cook while camping is over the open fire. So nothing tastes better than when you cook on a campfire. We usually think about just roasting hot dogs on the fire using a roasting stick, which is a great option. So you can roast on the fire with just a simple stick. You could whittle your own stick. It leaves you from having to pack a bunch of stuff, right? You could just bring a stick with you, make sure you have your firewood and the lighter. But if you just put hot dogs, you could put bratwurst, you could put small chicken, tenderloins, just anything that's kind of small that you can hold over the fire for a few minutes works great if you want to roast over the fire. You could also use a pie iron, which is one of those sandwich cast iron containers with a stick on it to kind of roast or make a grilled cheese or something over that open fire. Another way to cook over the open fire is with cast iron. So this method is our favorite. Typically we bring a grill grate with us to go over the fire, but if you're in a pinch, you can easily cook on top of your fire with the cast iron. You just have to be very careful and make sure that the logs aren't going to buckle underneath it when they get too hot. So if you want to cook with cast iron, it's a good idea to bring a grill grate, but you can get away with not doing that. Another cast iron option is doing a Dutch oven. So this cast iron Dutch oven you can put directly in the fire and then you just top it with a few coals on top to just really give it that heat on both ends. So cooking with a Dutch oven while camping is another great option. You can cook pretty much anything in it and use it just like an oven. Another option while you're camping is to bring your own grill. So some campsites might have a grill for you that you could put charcoal in, but if you prefer, you could bring your own grill, maybe with a propane canister with it. That way you can cook large meals for groups of people. So the grill is a good idea. It'll save you from having to bring too much firewood, but you have to consider that it is a large item that you'll have to bring with you as you're camping. One huge part of cooking for us is figuring out how to make our coffee in the morning. So we're not huge coffee drinkers every day, but nothing beats waking up and going out in nature and making yourself a cup of coffee and enjoying it on those cool mornings. So a few options you have for making coffee is a percolator. So this goes directly on a fire, or if you're using a propane stove, you can heat it on the stove, and you just put your water and your coffee into it and you let it percolate, and you'll start noticing it's boiling and you can see it. And after a few minutes, you'll have yourself a hot, fresh cup of coffee. Another option for coffee would be a French press. So you can boil your water and just dump it directly into the French press. If you have a jet boil, there's actually an extra French press you can buy to specifically fit that. And that way you can make yourself a single serve cup of coffee, French press style. If you want to keep it easy, you can always boil yourself some water and just get instant coffee packets. Any of it works just fine. Some things to consider when you're cooking while camping is how you're going to wash your dishes. So you want to conserve water while you're camping, especially if you're backpacking. So you want to make sure that you know exactly how you're going to wash your dishes and that you're not going to overuse water. So one thing that we like to do is use just like our cooking pot, and we'll just fill it up with a little bit of water and biodegradable soap, and that way we can scrub our dishes out while not having to keep dumping water over it. So that after we do scrub them, we just use tiny bits of water to kind of rinse them off, and then we wipe them down to make sure they're totally clean. Another great tool that we use for cleaning is a pan scraper. So we use the Lodge brand pan scraper. We're able to scrape all of the food off of our pots and pans, and most of the time we actually don't have to use soap and water to clean them because the scraper takes everything off, and then we can just wipe it down with a paper towel or something. So along with washing dishes, that water consumption, you want to make sure you're also not using too much water when you cook. So when you're planning your meals, you need to decide what meals are going to use water and will I have enough for it. So if you're boiling noodles, or if you're making, even if you're making oatmeal or something, you're using water. So you just need to make sure that you're packing the proper amount of water and choosing the right meals for your camping trip. When you're meal planning for camping, it's a good idea to try to pair your meals together. So for instance, we'll decide to make breakfast burritos in the morning and then tacos at night. That way when I pack the food, all I have to do is pack one bag of tortillas, one bag of cheese, one can of salsa, and that'll be used for both those meals. And ideally, I'll probably have a few more meals that will use those ingredients. That way you don't have to pack a bunch of different food ingredients and fill up that cooler too quickly. You can also pre-plan your meals and pack them in freezer bags. So a good example of this, if you're having chili for dinner, before you go camping, you could put your meat, beans, tomato sauce, seasonings, whatever you like in your chili, all into a freezer bag. So when you get to the campsite, all you do is dump it in your pot and let it cook. So in conclusion, there are handfuls of ways that you can cook while camping. The best option is the option that's best for you. So you decide what you want to pack, what's going to work for you, what's the easiest to cook in and clean up. Just make sure when you choose your camping style that you bring the proper fuel. So if you need firewood, a lighter, fire starters, whatever it may be, propane, just make sure you have it with you so you can properly cook while you're camping. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to read more about ways to cook while camping, you can check out the Exploring Parks blog. Also, there are some other videos you can watch to help you prepare for your camping trip. Thanks, guys. Keep exploring.